if you've ever had clients just ghost on you, or you're hesitant about following up with them after the consultation because you're not sure what to say and how to really make that connection so you can get that booking, this video is definitely going to help. Hi, I'm Jody Ann Rowe, founder of the Event Certificate, and I work with event planners and wedding planners to help them up-level their digital marketing. So today, what I want to share with you are just some tips and strategies that can help you to reduce the amount of clients that don't respond to your emails or calls and essentially ghost you. But what I'm going to offer is all of the little strategies you can use from the beginning to during the consultation process so that you can ensure that those clients are at least responding to tell you that they're not interested. So here's what I did. I actually went into my Facebook group and asked for someone to volunteer to be recorded. So it would be like a mini coaching session. So it's not just me throwing tips at you. This video is a little different. It's going to be like you sitting in and listening to one of my coaching calls with one of my clients, at least a mini version, right? So you can understand kind of what it's like when you're asking questions, how to respond, and get some ideas for yourself. Now, I promise this young lady was absolutely amazing. She's just throwing the questions at me, but you want to watch until the end because I offer some good little strategies and I can't wait to see how they work for her. In terms of the clients you're finding, because one of the things you're saying, you're having clients that were like ghosting or not following up.
Yeah, so I would say like within the last 30 days or so.
Ooh, did you
so
pause?
I recently started doing Facebook ads. I hadn't done Facebook ads before for my event planning business. Typically, I would just, kind of get business as they came, word of mouth. They would just kind of come randomly. So throughout the summer, I kind of been active with like trying to do Facebook ads every other week, every week. So within the last month or so, I was doing the ads and I felt like I was getting a lot of people reaching out, but then a lot of people were not booking. I might get 5 people reach out and maybe 1 person would book or maybe 2. And I felt like I would send them, the breakdown, somebody reach out, hey, this, I'm doing a baby shower. Or I would get a lot of how much, like that's just the message, how much.
Yeah.
So, I would say, well, let's schedule a consultation. What's your email? In the email I sent them initially, it outlines the process, how it works, the payment, the consultation, you accepting the offer, and then us going from there. And then people would be like, okay, let's do the consultation. We go through the consultation. They break down exactly what they want. I send them the invoice, and then they disappear. So.
Okay. So I understand then your frustration. I get that. So here's my question, and this is where you'll hopefully get some tips to reduce that. So during the consultation itself, like you discuss their budget and what that package looks like, and then you ask them if they have any questions.
So typically what I do, I have like a sheet that kind of like has all the points where I need to cover for the event design. And then I'll basically let them tell me what they want. Somebody might say, I want a balloon garland. I need tables and chairs, dessert table, or something like that. I typically don't ask them what their budget is because nobody ever has a budget. Nobody ever has like a number that they're like, oh, I only want to spend this on decor. And now if I do feel like they sound a little shaky on the phone, I'll be like, do you have a budget? And they'll say something that is so low that I'll be like, that's a balloon garland. Like, I can't do nothing but give you some balloons. And they'll be like, oh, that's it? Like, yeah.
I think people don't realize, like, when they see these fancy Pinterest, Instagram image, like that entire balloon thing is probably almost $500, depending on how big and extravagant it is.
Yes.
Right? Like, and the quality of the balloons, not something you just bought in the dollar store and blew up. Right?
Right. And then I
No.
feel bad after, like, oh man, maybe I should have tried to say, well, I can do this. But, I don't want to, I feel like I would go and be back to when I first started, when I was doing parties for $200 or $300 and I wasn't making any money. I was spending more time and spending all the money on supplies. So I don't want to go back down that avenue.
And you shouldn't have to. You shouldn't have to. So one of the things that I recommend is when they're having that conversation, just to feel them out, what I like to do is not so much ask their budget, but say something like, so once they tell you everything, I'll say, okay, so everything you described, for that package, we usually start about $750, and it depending on how you're customizing it, it will go up from there. Now, does that sound like something you're looking to spend? Like what would you feel comfortable with, right? So that way, in that consultation meeting, they can say right away, I was looking to spend under that, or that's okay. And then you can say, okay, well, I'll put together something a little bit more customized and send to you. But I like to prompt them right then, because then it reduces the shock they see when they get your invoice after the fact, right?
Okay.
Because I think that's what happened. Because you and I know, like you and I know, to do those extravagant things, it costs like upwards of $500-$700, depending on how big it is, right?
Right.
They don't. They actually think it's kind of just dollar store balloons blown up to look like that. And I've seen people say this. Like, I had a friend and she was doing the same thing. Like, she wanted the metallic gold ones. I'm like, those ones are even more expensive, right? They're not aware. I'll tell you. Lack of knowledge is a thing.
Yes.
So that's the first thing I find can help reduce that. Because at least when you give them that starter number, they'll be like, oh, right? And then even if they have questions, you can address it then and just help them to break it down to be like, well, the balloon, so this one is this, if you want to do a full arch, half arch, and then you just use that time to educate them. That's the first tip. Okay. The second thing is that what I like to do is I like to request the follow-up in the meeting. Right? So I'll say to the client when I'm having that conversation, okay, I give them an expectation date. So I'll send you like a full invoice customized proposal within 24 to 48 hours. So they have an expectation, first of all. Then I'll say, if I don't hear back from you by, let's say, Monday, is it okay for me to follow up with you? Right? And a lot of them will say, of course. But when they get that prompt, I find it makes people a little bit more accountable, so that when they get your email, they know they have no reason to not respond because they told you it was okay to follow up.
Right.
This was one I added to my consultation process, like later on, and I found it was very good, because then I'll say, even if you don't decide to go with me, when I follow up, then just, let me know either way, and I can like close the file or move forward. And most clients would just be like, of course, why wouldn't I respond? We know they don't often, right?
Yes. Sometimes you're like, and then it's like a week or two later, and they're like, oh, we decided that we were going to go, or we changed our mind. Like, okay.
But I find, honestly, try it out and let me know how it works. When I do that, most of them, it's almost like there's something about being a responsible human being that connects in their head when you ask them, because they're like, yeah, of course. They're giving you their consent to follow up so they can say yes or no.
Okay. And I love that. That's actually really good, because typically I'll just send them the invoice. That's when they get the big shock. And then after that, they're running away from me. So I kind of like that approach. So, it's like I'm letting you know. And then even just kind of letting them know where they fall around over the phone, because I get a lot of that. They'll be like, well, how much and how much, as I'm, going through everything they want. Yeah. I really want to be like, look, I don't want to say, oh, it's $700. And then when I tally up everything, you falling around $1,500.
Yeah. Now, do you also show them like photos of your events?
Yeah, so a lot of times people are reaching out directly through Instagram or Facebook. So, and then in the email that I send, like, to let them know what the process is, the links to my gallery is there. So even if they haven't had a chance to kind of see all my work, I always say, like, if you wish to move forward, here's, below, click the link to view some of our past work. And then under that is like the process of how, what it's going to be when they work with me. So I feel like they kind of know what they're going to get, but a lot of times people just don't do their research.
No, they don't. So here's what I'll give you a tip, especially if you're getting them through Messenger, like from the ads. So I don't know if
Mm-hmm.
they're sending you messages directly from the ad or email. Those ones that are sending you like the Instagram DMs, Facebook Messenger, any of those, what I find helpful is have just on your phone like two of your photos from your events, one on the low end and one on the high end. And when they ask you the price, send them the example of like the high end one, right? So like one of
Mm-hmm.
my clients, she has the full one. It has the letter tables, the balloon, the back, like
Mm-hmm.
everything, right? Because those are usually the images they're seeing when they're messaging you and send and say,
Right.
well, something like this is actually like 2,400, right? And
Mm-hmm.
then you can send them one where maybe have like the half arch or like something a little bit more scaled down and say, then something like this is maybe like 7, right? So it really depends on what you're looking for, but let's have a conversation and then I can customize it for you.
Okay.
Right? Because it helps them to kind of put the prices and the images together.
Together.
Yeah, because they're not as knowledgeable as you are, right? And I'm telling you, they all assume these big flashy Instagram images is like $200, $500, but hopefully that helps. Now, one thing I'm going to ask you though, if you're doing, so when you send them your proposal with your invoice, do you also give them deadlines?
Yes, which I'm noticing that people are not like they're not paying attention to the deadlines because I'm having to call, text, and remind. Now I don't have anything automated where they automatic like I send the invoice through my Wix, which is where my website is, but
Right?
I don't think that automatically sends them like a reminder to let them know. If it does, I'm not 100% sure.
No, I don't think Wix does, and I don't know if it has the capability to. So
Mm-hmm.
it for until you're like on a CRM of some sort, it would just be manual now. But I
Mm-hmm.
like that you set the deadline because at least the deadline gives you something to follow up on. Because
Mm-hmm.
if you say to them, the deadline is whenever next week, say October 19th, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then October 19th comes and you haven't heard from them, they had said in their like the conversation, you can follow up, then okay, I just initiate the follow-up process. So I
Right.
like that you do that. But those little things I find will help significantly. Like I've seen my
Mm-hmm.
clients try them out, like reduce the amount of ghosting and I wouldn't even call them nonsense clients, but
Yeah.
the clients who are just like wasting your time.
Yes. These tips are super, super helpful. I'm like super excited because now I have at least something different in my approach because sometimes it just makes you feel like, dang, what am I doing?
Yeah. It's not you. Believe me, it's not you. You and I know they see a lot of things online that they don't understand.
Mm.
You had good questions.
I'm glad.
Yes. Okay, bye for now.
Bye bye. Have a good day.
You too.